Joining me on Disagree to Disagree tonight, former Iowa Grant Panther, Madison College Wolfpack, and Milwaukee Panther baseball player Kyle Spurley. How you doing, Kyle?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. A lot of baseball in your career. And now, do you have any idols growing up?
I wouldn't say necessarily idols, but I never really got to see him. But I heard a lot with my dad, and my brothers talking about Nolan Ryan. His mentality on the mound was one of the things that kind of drew me to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was one of my favorite pitchers too, and I think the one thing that sticks out to me is when he kicked the snot out of Robin Ventura.
Yeah, that's the thing that comes to my mind too.
I actually saw that jersey for sale of Nolan Ryan's with the blood on it. It was like $5,000. I decided not to buy it. Who, I guess in your career, Kyle, who was there one person or more than that was really big impact on your life?
Both my parents, my mom and my dad, were big influences in my career, and both my brothers were huge role models for me. My dad coached me all through, from Little League to high school to even when I got to college. He had seen me grow up, so he knew mechanically and had seen me enough where he could kind of pinpoint something right from just right away. My mom was another big part of my career, just from almost a mental aspect, making sure that I wasn't too hard on myself, but she'd also make sure that I was doing things correctly in the game and kind of around the game. And then obviously my brothers were a major influence, watching them grow up in all the sports they played and making sure. And then I wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps, and I always had set my goals to be just a little bit better than they were, and that was my goal, and that was what kind of pushed me to be better, is what they had set, and I wanted to kind of set the bar higher.
And now, what other sports did you play? I know you weren't a one-sport athlete.
I played football and basketball along with baseball, and if a lot of times, and especially around this area with being from a small town, small school, you had that opportunity. And I know, especially at Madison and at Milwaukee, a lot the coaches liked that I was a three-sport athlete, that they thought it was easier for me to be taught mechanically stuff on the field, and especially off the field with mechanics. So I think it was very beneficial for me to play three sports in high school.
And you see it now a lot, is where parents kind of focus their child on one sport. They send them to camps for one sport. They do one sport, and that's what they do, is they live, eat, and breathe that one sport. Now, I'm one that disagrees with that. I think kids should be doing as many sports as possible, because I think it's better for them in the long run. Do you agree?
I agree 100%. I think it's different mentalities. You're learning how to compete at different things. I mean, it's football compared to baseball is so much different, but it is so much alike. You're competing throughout the year. It's not, and I think it's just very beneficial for athletes to play three sports.
Now, at what age did you realize that baseball was what you wanted to do?
I'm not sure it was sometime in high school. I mean, I was recruited in football probably more than I was in baseball. And I knew my best sport was baseball. I knew that it was something I'd probably want to pursue, but I didn't probably know till probably my junior, senior year that it was something that, like you said, I was a three-sport athlete. It was kind of each sport I played, or each kind of, if it was football season, football was my favorite sport. If it was basketball season, the same thing. But I was probably my junior, senior year was about when I kind of started to kind of figure out that
Mm-hmm.
baseball was kind of going to be something that I would probably pursue after high school as well.
So I guess when did the colleges start calling on you for baseball and football since you were recruited for football as well? When did they? Was that like your senior year, junior year?
Baseball was early because I was moved up early I was moved up early for kind of all sports, but it was especially I was a young kid that threw hard.
Yeah.
So baseball was a sport that I was recruited early in. Football was a sport that kind of came on my junior year. After I had a pretty good year my junior year, I got letters and things along that line. And that's when, like I said, that's kind of when I kind of, even when I was younger, I knew my goal was always to
Mm-hmm.
play college, either anything, college baseball, college football, college basketball, something, just because I love the sport so much. So it was something that I grew up with an intention to play at the next level. It was always something why I put that hard work in, why I put extra time in, because of that was a goal of mine.
And what made you choose out of high school to go to MATC, Madison College?
I think it was just, honestly, I didn't know how good they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up to the facility. Going up to it, I didn't know much about junior colleges. And then I kind of talked to Coach Davenport, who's still the head coach there, and I was just kind of blown away by him and his knowledge. And it was just, I couldn't believe how knowledgeable he was at the game. And it was just, at that moment, once I met him, I knew that that was a place for me. It was, the facilities were great, and he was even better of a guy kind of just, it was just kind of a thing where I went up there, and I knew right away, within 5 minutes of talking to him, I knew that Madison was the place that I wanted to go.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about your experience at MATC then, with playing baseball there.
So I got up there. I graduated high school in 2007. Went up there that fall and played there for 2 years. It was a great experience. Probably the most I've ever learned in 2 years. The most I've ever been coached, and it was just the small details that I would never look at and maybe not see. He would pick up, and and I learned a lot from him. And then we kind of just going from we went to, just starting out my freshman year, we took our annual trip to Arizona we played 10 games down there. I played some baseball outside of high school with Babe Ruth and a little bit of home talent when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But you've never seen the grind of playing 5 days or 5 games in 7 days, or playing double headers back-to-back days, or just the grind of baseball. Was the one thing that kind of was a thing that was almost a shock to the system, kind of, and where you're like, I've never experienced that type of baseball or experience there.
And then after MATC, you decided to go to UW Milwaukee. Now, I guess, was that your only decision? Is that what you made up your mind? You were going to go to UW Milwaukee right away? Or did you have other schools that you were thinking about as well?
My goal was kind of always to, the thing with me is I always try to set a goal and to get to a certain, when I'm at a place, I want to have a goal to get to the next level or next thing. So my goal was to always play, was to always get a scholarship to a D1 school. And Milwaukee was on one of the top of my lists as a school, just because it was in state. It was the only D1 school in Wisconsin, and it was always a goal of mine to not so much play for UWM, but to play D1. And I was recruited by other schools, but I was recruited by Iowa a little bit and Coastal Carolina, but it was always kind of, I like staying close to home. Yeah. It was a little pride in Wisconsin.
Sure. If the Badgers had a program and came after you, that would have been a possibility too, right?
That would have been, yes. That would have been my choice.
But they haven't had that since the 90s, and hopefully they can get that back. I know they're petitioning, trying to get that back.
Yeah, they're pushing hard for it.
Now, we take a look here at your UW-Milwaukee stats. Now, you redshirted your first year there, right?
Yep. I tore my ACL my first year at Madison. It was kind of my first major injury I've ever had. I never missed a game in high school for an injury or at Madison. So that was it was an experience that helped me, but it was a struggle. It was a real struggle to kind of sit out and not be able to, kind of play. To watch your teammates kind of take to start the season, to play out the season, and kind of you're just sitting there doing rehab, and it's tough. But I would say it made me better mentally and physically. I was in better shape coming back from that injury, and it's something that helped me, and you don't realize it when that happened.
Mm-hmm. And then your junior year, it was kind of a rough year at Milwaukee, I guess. 9 ERA, a little high there.
A little high. I got injured again, probably about the fourth weekend of the season. I tore my rotator cuff, and it was just a struggle most of that year, just to kind of coming off a knee injury where I sat out all that year. It was kind of rough. I didn't want to kind of admit it to myself that I was hurt because I didn't want to miss any more time.
Sure.
I'd already missed the year before. And then I ended up being shut down probably with 3 weeks left of the season. But it wasn't a good year, to say the least. I gained experience. I'll say that I gained quite a bit of experience just from being into the games. Even and I didn't pitch well, but having that game experience definitely helped me the next year.
Yeah, it did, definitely. 2-0 your senior year, 2.38 ERA in 16 games, 22.2 innings pitched. And here's impressive, no home runs given up your senior year. Hey, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's a stat I didn't know. Usually, I didn't even know that, so.
Hey,
but yeah,
I'm glad I made your day.
That was a good year. It was fun. I was another thing where it's just my junior year, the struggles with injuries, with it being mental, and then that game experience of junior year, it helps you with kind of and just it kind of helped me with my senior year and having success and putting the time in that needed to be there. And so the senior year was a very enjoyable year for me.
And then you coming off your senior year, I guess, what transpired after that? Obviously people go into the draft and do that, but where did your path take you after college baseball? Like I said, I always have a goal after. When I got to UWM, I always had that goal of the next level. So I didn't necessarily think I was going to get drafted, but I thought I had a chance to play maybe independent league baseball, another type of
professional baseball, and it was called the Frontier League. So I had some tryouts set up with them, worked out for some teams, and I never ended up getting a call that year. And then the year after, I kind of was starting to get back into shape, started throwing a little bit, working out, and and with my coaches at Madison and also at Milwaukee, they had set me up some more tryouts with these teams, and I was getting ready for that, and I ended up partially tearing my labrum and my bicep, and then that was kind of where my baseball career officially ended. Was just I had already rehabbed a couple of injuries, and the shoulder was not. It wasn't going to be a career that would be. It wasn't going to hold up for the career I wanted.
Yeah, so your body kind of told you to maybe step away, huh?
Yeah, and probably. I mean, yeah, it told me to step away, and it was something needed to, because I probably would still be trying to make it
right.
if I could.
Yeah. And now, throughout your whole career, now, is there any one moment that kind of stands out to you, like a great moment that stands out to you in your career?
In terms of kind of on the baseball field,
on the baseball field, yeah.
Between my second year at Madison and my first year at Milwaukee, I played in the Northwoods League, which is kind of the same league as the Madison Mallards, which probably a lot of your listeners will know. My first start, I ended up playing for the Brainerd Lake Lunkers, and my first start was in Duluth, Minnesota, and it's a baseball stadium it's like 1908 or 1903 was when it was built, so it has the pillars and right in the stand, and it's right out of the old time.
Nice.
So my first start was there, and it was the St. Patrick's Day night. So and I can't remember the manager, but he used to manage for the U.S. national team.
Oh.
It was his first night. So there was about 10,000 fans.
Wow.
And it was my first, obviously going to junior college, there's not a lot of crowds. So it was kind of my first, I stepped out of the kind of our dugout, and it was kind of my first wow moment of saying, this is big time, because it was, and I kind of seen their scouting report, and it was SEC and ACC and Big 12 and Pac-12 guys all in their lineup. So it was kind of my first wow moment, and something that I'll always remember pitching into that game.
Were you intimidated by that line? Looking at that lineup, though, looking at that scouting report.
I wasn't intimidated. It was more of just kind of a moment where you kind of got to just look at it and say how far you came, and that work that you put in is paying off.
Yeah. And any interesting stories from in a playing day? Obviously, you were on the road traveling as a team. Anything like that? Any interesting stories?
There's some stories, but none that really come to mind, and there's a few that probably can't be told.
Oh, no, anything can be told.
But we went to, my first year at Milwaukee, the year I tore my ACL, we ended up winning the conference tournament, the Horizon League conference tournament. We went to Arizona State. We ended up making the regional, or the NCAA bracket, kind of like everybody knows with basketball, same thing with baseball. And we ended up in the ASU bracket, and they were the number one team in America. So that was another moment where you're like, my hard work is paying off, and it makes you want to put in more work and put in the time necessary to make more of those moments. So we played down there. Another another huge crowd. I think we ended up losing 6-4 to ASU to start,
Ooh.
and it was a game where it was close, and we had them down early, and it was fun to be a part of that. And
Yeah.
we ended up with baseball. It's a little different than basketball, where we played another game and we ended up getting kind of thumped by a San Diego team. But it was a great experience to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I wasn't playing, but it was another experience that helped me in my career going forward.
Now, is there anything you would change from your playing days at all?
I would honestly. There's not much I would probably change. I mean, I kind of believe that it happens for a reason, type of thing. I would probably not throw as much when I was younger. I was a kid that was probably overused a little bit too much.
Sure.
And I'm not saying it was a reason this and happened, but I think it probably being overused and it wasn't necessarily. I'm not necessarily blaming coaches or blaming anybody. I think it was more myself than anything, where I didn't want to come out of the game when I knew when they wanted me to, and I didn't want to, and it was more of that. And I'm not. It's not a blame thing, but it's just something that probably I needed to control myself a little more than to shut myself down and say, you've thrown enough, and no win is worth throwing 140 pitches that night or whatever.
Now, I mean, I guess you're not out of baseball technically, but what's life like for you after the playing days now with baseball?
Right. So after baseball, I kind of floated around with jobs and was in Milwaukee for a little bit and came back home, and with my wife Molly, and we have 2 kids, 2 girls, Kason and Bryn, and I actually started a youth kind of baseball program called Sluggers Baseball. The funny story is I would have never seen it coming. I wouldn't say I didn't have any intentions of, but 2 dads came up to me. They each had about 6 players, and they asked me to coach their kids. And what is now a type of, we play in U-Trip tournaments, and they wanted me to coach their team, practice with their team, teach them kind of the things that I had learned through my career. And that's kind of how this got started. And then they asked me to do lessons, pitching lessons, and kind of some hitting lessons with their kids at that same time. And then ever since then, it's kind of grown into, I got 5 teams, kind of 8 through 12. I do individual and partner lessons, which are kind of always full. Which, I mean, it's crazy how it starts with 2 kids, and now I had to turn down, I mean, kids that want lessons, and then I have camps in the summer, and I'm hoping to hopefully open up a building or a facility sometime in the near future. Hopefully, I mean, somewhere around Platteville or somewhere around this area, and hopefully continue to have it grow and give kids around this area an opportunity to play baseball and at a high level.
Now you also coach football as well, right? Correct? And high school football and baseball. Do you assistant coach with that too?
I do. I coach high school football at and baseball at Cuba City. One of my buddies got me into the football program, and I enjoy that. And then I knew the baseball coach a little bit. He's also a football coach on the staff, and he was another one of my friends or other buddy of mine that just asked me to help out, and at that point, I enjoy coaching. I think it's the next best thing. I was honestly just playing after baseball. Once I kind of knew it was over, it's not that I didn't have fun playing baseball, but I always believed that I kind of needed a goal. I needed to set a goal or have a goal in mind for it to be really fun for me and to be something I wanted to pursue. And then with baseball or with coaching, now it kind of can be that.
We're going to do a little kind of rapid fire section here for you, just question after question, okay?
All right.
Favorite baseball team?
Milwaukee Brewers.
Favorite football team?
Green Bay Packers.
We already disagree. Favorite pitch to throw?
Fastball.
What was the fastest fastball you ever threw?
95.
Nice. Only child, or do you have siblings?
2 brothers, 2 older brothers. Probably one of the major reasons why I am as good as I am. Great role models.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up watching them. Wanted to be better than them.
Yeah. Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood?
Neither.
Country or hip-hop?
Both. I like them both. If I had to decide, probably hip-hop.
All right. Beer or liquor?
Another both, but I'd have to say beer.
Golf or soccer?
Soccer. I'm gonna get ripped on for that one, but I don't like golf very much. I'm bad at it.
That's because you're good at baseball. That's the problem.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go out with my friends and golf. But I grew up playing soccer until 7th, 8th grade.
Nice. DraftKings or FanDuel?
FanDuel.
Oh. Under Armour or Nike?
That's a tough one. Nike.
Mexican, Italian, or Chinese food?
Italian.
If you could choose a walk-up song for your at-bat, what would it be?
We had walk-up songs for pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I had something T.I. and Eminem. I can't remember the name of the song. But right now, I don't really like much song. I'm listening to a lot of old rap right now.
Hey, that's all right. I'm a fan of old rap too.
Yeah.
All right, World Series pick.
Oof. This is tough. I'm gonna say I'm not a Cubs fan. I'm gonna say that's tough. Let's go. You know what? It's an even year, and this one of my 12U coach will love this. Let's go the San Francisco Giants.
If that happens, wouldn't that just be crazy? 2010, 12, 14, and 16. That would be crazy. Yeah. There's something looking down on the Giants. I mean, if that does happen. I'm a Cubs fan.
I wish I was a Giants fan.
Right. I'm a Cubs fan, so yeah, I'm going Cubs.
Yeah. But yeah, a good shot. Hopefully it's next year though. Hopefully you guys keep saying maybe next year.
Maybe next year. I hope not. I don't know. I mean, it's okay.
I think you guys will be good for a long time, and I think you'll have plenty of opportunities.
Should.
To get not just one, but many. This might be the year. Arrieta is a free agent after this year.
Yeah, he is, and they haven't struck up a deal yet, so you never know.
And he said no hometown discount. And is he 33?
No, he's 29.
29.
He's young.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he's got a lot of years left because when he was in Baltimore and whatever, he didn't pitch a lot.
No.
I mean, he didn't have a lot of innings on his arm, so I think he's worth whatever he wants. But
and he's going to get a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, Strasburg just got a huge contract, so I mean that kind of factors in, I think.
Yeah.
He sees that. Now, is there any advice for kids that, have a passion about any sport or anything like that? What kind of advice would you give a kid?
I would just say the work that you put in, it's gonna be more than you could ever think imaginable. You're gonna have to deal with with some things that you're gonna miss, and it's just you're gonna miss, like when I was in college, and that's when it really started to kind of hit me, all the work you had to put in, of saying you're gonna have to miss some things where your friends go to, or you're gonna have to give up some things or not do some things because you need to put that work in the next morning at 5 a.m. or you have stuff to do. So I would just say, the hard work, prepare to work hard, prepare to put a lot of time in, and just go from kind of, to go back, I'd put in more work, and it will be all worth it in the end, and your goals will be accomplished if you go all out. I honestly believe that.
All right, Kyle, well, thank you very much for joining us on Disagree to Disagree. It was great having you as a guest.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it, and it was fun.